Hello, and welcome to James, the Let's Express Lane, where we get you in and out as fast as possible with Taking L's has been doing an autism series on DSP. You can see, starting 2 months ago, all the way up to just 3 weeks ago was the last video. We're not going to watch all of them, because I'm going to leave a link down below so you guys can check it out yourselves. We're going to do an introduction to the videos that we have here. Give you a taste of what they're doing and get you more interested in it so you can go there and check it out yourselves. Although it's like, oh, 8.4K, 3.7K, 5.6K, 3.6K, like crushing it in views compared to what DSP puts out. Guys, my video went viral. It got over 1,000 views in just 6 months. In here, no, 3 weeks, 3.6K views. Good for him. Oh, 28K views 7 days ago, a week ago. 28K views. When's the last time DSP had any video get 28K views? Yeah, it's been a while. Anyways, let's go check out those videos. We'll do the introduction on this one just so you can check it out. It's pretty funny. Watch a little bit of the first video and then I'll just hop to the other videos. Let's go!
You might want to change that name. I'm just saying, so people might find that offensive. Autism O Gaming. You might want to change that name. I'm just saying, so people might find that offensive. Even if you actually are autistic, that could be seen as offensive. I'm just throwing that out there. And by the way, I'm gonna say this outright. There's absolutely nothing wrong with people who are autistic. I know many people who are autistic. All right, and they're
Artistic, but he keeps saying artistic. It's autistic, not artistic. And yeah, we know every single person in your chat, but you don't really know them, do you?
they're perfectly normal, fine, good, positive people. There's nothing wrong with this at all. Viking asks if I'm autistic. Of course, you didn't know? You can't tell?
Fun interactive community. Yay!
Editor Logan here. I just wanted to give you all some context before the video gets started. This is from a conversation I had a little while ago with a detractor known as Who's Poppin' and his wife Anna. Anna is a psychiatrist who treats people on the autism spectrum as she is on the autism spectrum herself, and Who's Poppin' has his own experience as a mental health nurse. I can't thank them enough for giving me the time to talk with them and provide insight into DSP and autism. Here is the first video in the series. Hope you all enjoy it.
You can see why I wanted to do this intro part on this video, as he explains what they're doing, how they're doing it. Like I said, it's a pretty damn good series.
Here we go.
I just want to sort of broach the subject of neurodiverse people being drawn to neurodiverse streamers.
Okay.
So if you think about, like, you're not going to go and watch a stream about a football game if you don't like football. So I think the premise of it would be, you go to watch a stream maybe 90% of the time for the streamer. The game is mostly irrelevant unless it's a day one release.
Correct.
Or for me, like, after I beat Until Dawn, got Platinum, whatever, I wanted to see other people's reactions to playing it. So yeah, I just found, like, a bunch of random people playing it. Didn't matter who the streamer was, I just wanted to see their reaction to playing Until Dawn, getting the twists and the kills and all that.
Just want to talk
Which
about,
would be the other
like,
10%.
Phil's genuine fans, you know, personally, and I've got a little bit of evidence to support this for maybe one of the future videos I'm thinking about making. But I think a lot of Phil's true genuine fans are like Phil. They're on the autistic spectrum, or there are other neurodivergent issues going on. And do you want to talk a little bit about?
Yeah, so if I come on that, so, I can sort of speak on that from two perspectives. One as being a psychiatrist who kind of diagnoses autism and works with autistic people, and also being autistic myself. And I think big part of being autistic, it's sort of finding yourself quite isolated in that general, community of neuro.
So yes, we have an actual psychiatrist whose, like, main focus is working with autistic people. So Puck couldn't find a better expert.
Typicals, when you often feel, like you don't belong and you are very different. You may not necessarily understand why that is if you are not diagnosed. Even if you have a diagnosis and you kind of can manage those interactions, it can still be, quite difficult and tiring, to be interacting with neurotypicals. So I think autistic people are naturally drawn to each other because we are looking for our own tribe. We often share similar strong interests, so we kind of congregate in groups around that. But there is that genuine pull,
Yeah, they needed to work on their audio quality, which it does get a little better in the future videos.
just towards other autistics. The way we
Yes.
commission,
There we go.
and kind of using those various ways and platforms that the internet offers, that just suits our communication styles so much better than the kind of face-to-face real world interactions.
What did I say to you last time, Logan, when I rang in? I said, Philip is exactly where Philip wants to be.
And let me tell you, I love it. Like, I love my life. Again, I want to reiterate, because I know today is kind of a bitch fest when it comes to OBS. This definitely was the OBS bitch fest today. But I want you guys to understand that I really like my life.
Look at how shiny and greasy and black his hair is. But guys, I don't dye it.
This is the best life I've ever lived right now. It's funny, I'm 40 years old, and so many people hit a midlife crisis when they hit 40. And I'm the opposite. I'm enjoying life more today than I was before, ever. And I mean that, but the days when I was single, the days when I was traveling, going to conventions and shit, all that time, it was frivolous. Then I was traveling for Street Fighter. Now I feel like I have a meaningful life. I love this. To me, I love my life. I'm absolutely loving my life. And I say that, I can say this to all of you out there, the 500 plus people watching live, the people who will be watching this on demand after, even those people who want to make fun of me constantly. I have something I really want to tell you, and I mean this. Every day of my life is the best day of my life.
That's why I think that so many people out there are in pain and are hateful and hate others and think it's okay to step on others. I gotta step on others to get ahead. I gotta hurt others to get ahead, because you're not happy. Because if you were happy, you wouldn't want to crush others. You wouldn't need to crush others, because you would be okay. There's so many people out there who are hurting, and no one gets it. Once you get it, you don't need to do that anymore. You don't need to be upset about every little idiot who says something about you, every little moron who pokes at you.
The coping.
You don't need to hyper focus on the negative. You can just be positive about the good things in your life.
He's in that office 10 hours a day. He's got 3 cameras. He doesn't have to speak to anybody. He doesn't have to try and read somebody's body language. He doesn't have to get any feedback off anything he's saying. He just says it in his office. And I think that's why Philip is exactly where Philip is in life. He wants to be there because he's autistic.
In many ways, it sounds to me like a dream job. You are just kind of working from your home office that you have set up, the way.
I say working from home is definitely a dream. No driving. You got to log in at 9. Let's say you got to log in at 9 a.m. Or even if, let's say I could do my job remotely. I can't, unfortunately, but oh no, I got to log in at 6 a.m. Well, gee, instead of having to be up at 4:45 a.m., no, use the facilities, brush my teeth, get something to drink, get ready to go, deal with the trauma of waking up that early, and then driving to work and dealing with traffic and dealing with traffic lights. I wake up at 5:40. Right, I will get up at 5:45. I get an extra hour of sleep every day. Use facilities, grab a monster, sit down, log in. I don't know about you, but an extra hour of sleep every day, no stress of driving to work every day and then having to drive home. Although it is kind of nice because, like, oh, what do I want? Well, I want to get this from Aldi's, this from Kroger, this from Meijer, this from Walmart. I want to stop and get this from Burger King. I want to do it. It is kind of nice where on my way home or, oh, hey, a new movie came out. Well, the theater's like 5 minutes away from me. Let's just go there, watch a new movie. That part is kind of nice. But you know what? An extra hour of sleep every day, an extra hour of sleep, no stress from driving, be so fucking worth it. But for DSP, somehow, he took the dream of working from home and fucked it up.
Way you want. You talk about things that are your special interests and passions all day long. You know, that kind of, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the concept of info dumping.
Yes.
You know, it's kind of how we describe it in an autistic community when you have those long monologues of things that you really feel passionate about. That tends to drive neurotypical people around the bend because you just keep going on and on and on about something and can't always pick up on cues that they're bored with it. But, you know, when you have an autistic audience, great, because, you know, they often understand the info dumping and will, you know, allow that of each other. If somebody's info dumping on the subject I'm interested in, I can just spend hours, you know, listening to that because that's fantastic. But, you know, just the process of sharing information about something, you know, autistic people feel passionate about is really enjoyable. So, you know, it sounds like an excellent way to spend 10 hours, you know, without maybe, you know, feeling tired or bored of it at all.
Yes.
It doesn't sound like the sort of job that you are being like, you know, clock watching and thinking like, oh my God, when can I go home? You know, more something that comes naturally.
Right. I will say that it really is a sort of dream job, especially for someone like Phil. And I think what you just mentioned about the concept of info dumping, I don't know how much of Phil's streams or content you've seen, but his content is mostly him info dumping about something that he wants to talk about.
I hope you're doing better than me yet again. Yet again. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I have a story to tell you about last night.
Alright, that'll be enough for this one. Again, I'm going to have a link to Taking Nails down below, so you want to watch the whole thing. Let's move on to video 2. We're going to start off with Skewed Perspective, part 1 in the description.
Can I bring something into this as well that's quite pertinent?
Of course.
Think about Derek.
The champ is here.
And think
Now you see why I picked this one.
about pebbling. What are Derek's pebbles to Phil?
They're chat comments, and Phil would call him a nice, positive guy constantly.
And so, let's be honest, the elephant in the room, the Derek thing, where for years, Derek was on my streams and he was a nice guy. He was always adding to the conversation. He chimed.
I don't get why people are so upset with my friend Ted Bundy. He was such a nice guy whenever we went out for drinks, guys. We'd go out for drinks. He'd flirt up with some ladies. He'd go home with one of those ladies. That lady would never be seen again. But guys, at the bar, he was such a nice guy.
In on certain topics where he got excited. He was a frequent viewer.
Philip still maintains Derek is a nice, positive guy that left nice, positive messages.
Yes.
Philip doesn't understand the issues around having somebody like Derek in the community. He doesn't understand because he's mind blind. So he can't perceive how others will perceive Derek being in his community.
And I think, you know, that comes to a very, you know, a different concept of perspective shifting. You know, that comes quite naturally to neurotypical people. You know, you can sort of see, you know, for example, if you have, you know, somebody who is a pedophile in your community, you know, what about all those people who had some experience of being harmed in those ways? You know, they are gonna feel, you know, immediately threatened. And what sort of message, you know, are you sending? You know, are you somehow saying, you know, this is okay because you are inviting, you know, that person to your community and to just be kind of part, you know, of the group? If you are looking at it strictly speaking from Phil's perspective, it's, you know, like he hasn't, as far as we know, you know, done anything to Phil. You know, the only thing that Phil experiences from these guys is, you know, nice admiration, pebbles, you know, nice comments.
And stealing mommy's credit card and donating to him.
So from Phil's, you know, very kind of self-centered perspective, you know, this is a nice person because he haven't really, you know, seen anything else from him other than that niceness. You know, to be able to then shift that actually, you know, other people are perceiving Derek in a very different way because of this or because of that. You know, it takes a certain cognitive ability and skill that a lot of autistic people are lacking. This is a really good example of that difficulty with perspective shifting. And there was a long sort of video of a conversation between Phil and, you know, somebody who was trying to give him very good advice.
I think that was the PPP Andy and
No.
Josh interview.
Yes.
Yes.
That says he has no power whatsoever on my streams whatsoever.
But he's allowed in your streams, though.
And made thumbnails. Lots of thumbnails.
Yes, he is.
But he has playlists of little kids on his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Okay. Shall we publicly address this formally? This is good. We can
Let's
finally
address
do
this.
Let's talk
like,
about
for
this,
real.
yeah.
Like,
Sure,
why
yeah.
is
All
he
right.
allowed to be a member of your community when he's such a creep?
That's the one thing that's really fucked. Yeah.
Here's my philosophy. You guys can completely disagree as streamers yourselves, and everyone out there watching, you may also disagree as well. All right, but allow me to lay down my methodology here.
Sure.
Okay. I'm a content creator. Every day I put on a stream. I'm trying to entertain an audience. I'm trying to make a living. I got to chat. People come in, people come out. I see people from all walks of life, people from here, there, and everywhere who attend my streams. And I don't judge anyone for anything but what's going on in my stream. Okay. If I see someone in this stream doing something disgusting, having awful things said, or there's, you know, they're breaking the rules, they're out of it. I have rules laid out. Actually, my stream, I think, is a little bit more lax than others because I used to be known as like the moderator heavy guy. And now
You still are. You have over 7,000 people banned from your Kick chat.
I almost don't have any moderators anymore.
Mm.
I kind of handle it all myself. But anyway, my philosophy is what goes on in my stream is the extent of my responsibility as a streamer to take care of. Now, anyone out there who makes content, do you personally know every single person who's on your stream? Do you know what their life is like behind the scenes? Do you know what kind of stuff that they're into? What, you know, their kinks, their bullshit, what they post on their social media? Of course not. How on holy hell would any of us ever know what all of our viewers are doing?
But if someone comes up to you and says, hey, here is evidence. Here's pictures. Here's videos. Here's links. He's a PDF. Get him out of your community. Guys, I don't care.
Nor is it in our realm of responsibility to have to actually look into that. You understand? These people are just here to watch me. That's all I care about.
May I just okay, so I understand what you're saying. You don't know everyone's backstory. You can't control everyone. Makes sense. But we have verifiable evidence that Derek is a pedophile. He has playlists of kids, and it's really weird fucking shit. And this is the one thing Ashton and I are like, what the fuck is
What the
you know? I
is
get what
this
you're
shit?
saying.
And
I get what you're
Josh
saying.
looked into it yesterday. Let's let Josh. Josh, what do you think
Yeah.
about what Phil just said?
Yeah.
It's not just this. Like, I mean, knowing about it, like when you find out, like you have to do something about that. And from what I understand, the big point of contention is not just that he's there; it's that other people, you know, who are in your community, who are in your chats, have pointed out that this guy is who he is, and he seems to be getting a layer of protection that people are able to observe. He seems to get away, according to, you know, the people that watch, he gets away with a lot more than other people would. Just in, you know, it's suspicious to them. I don't know. I've not seen this, but that's what that's what they
So
say.
you don't even know what they're saying. You just think that somehow he's getting some kind of protections in my stream is what you're saying.
He is.
Yeah, either from people
Was.
in the chat calling it out or just in regards to his behavior. Like apparently he spams a lot and he gets a pass with that, and people suspect that there is some kind of association there where he gets a pass. Like for instance with the thumbnails, because they say that he has like a monthly vacation, and during that vacation the style of your thumbnails changes, and that is how they come to the conclusion that the thumbnails
They do. He denies it, but they do.
are being made by him, because they don't get made by
Totally
him when
wrong.
he's gone.
He's literally never made anything like that for me whatsoever. He's, like I said, the only thing
Bullshit.
he's ever made is 2 tier makers, I believe, over the last year.
So he
That's
has
it.
made stuff though.
He
for you.
2 tier makers, and one that I used on a stream and one I did not.
But
Yes.
brother Phil, like you can't have a pedophile making stuff for you and part of your community in a broad sense, right? Like you should probably just ban the fucking guy and send him packing. And I think you'd get a lot less
Okay.
shit if you did.
You know, they were really trying to explain, you know, why, you know, Derek should not be in this community, and they were very patient and, you know, giving a lot of examples and repeating the message and trying their very best. And there was still zero evidence of Phil being able to shift his perspective and actually, kind of internalize what they were saying to him. So he was agreeing, but I don't think, in his mind, his kind of outlook was shifting at all.
And I'll give you an example, Logan.
Yes.
Right? Now, my background is a psychiatric nurse, dementia speciality. Now, a lot of people with dementia have very poor communication skills because of the dementia. So my skills were based on physical observations.
Mm-hmm.
So, as an example, it's like somebody who's 600 pounds in weight telling you adamantly that they go to the gym 3 times a day.
So this is me after about 3 hours of sleep. We're all super tired. We did not get much sleep, but Ricky is up, chipper as ever. But all 4 of us are about to go join the gym.
Mm-hmm.
If you observe the situation as it arises, the person's bedbound, they've not been out of the house in 5 years. How are they going to the gym 3 times a day? Doesn't tally up. It's not congruent.
Right.
And like, if you think about it, I'll bring it down to what Anna's just said about Phil not mentally able to articulate the points that were being brought up from the interview about Derek. It's like asking a double amputee to pick up a cup of tea.
Right.
It's not going to happen. There's no evidence it's ever happened.
And I've tried to explain this to a lot of other either viewers or other detractor creators that have like sort of questioned on it. Sometimes Phil is just not equipped to understand certain things or do certain things. And whenever I say that, people say, oh, you're giving him a pass on something. And I'm like, no, I'm just being realistic. There are some things mentally, emotionally, and cognitively he just does not have the tools for. And
yes, because he's too fucking stupid and gin brain rotted. When it's like, wow, why doesn't he get a job? Who would hire him? I know the meme is DSP get a job, but seriously, who would hire him? Would you hire him? Seriously, would you hire this jackass? If someone came up to you and said, hey, we got a guy, he's going to be late every single day. He will never be on time. When he shows up, he's going to bitch and complain the entire time. He's going to drag down everyone else around him. Everyone's going to fucking hate working with him. They're going to hate you for hiring him. Do you think anyone wants to work with that? I don't know about you, but I sure shit wouldn't want to work with him. Oh God, can you imagine the smell? You're sitting down in your little cubicle, typing away, doing data entry, and then, oh God, what's that? I haven't sweated, so I don't need to take a shower, guys. It's not Monday yet. I don't shower until Monday night, guys. Fucker, it's Friday. What the fuck is wrong with you? I didn't sweat, guys. Not like I go to the gym. But yeah, can you imagine working with that? There's just something like that he literally cannot do. So yes, we will say DSP get a job and make fun of the guy who shows up to WWE events with a sign saying DSP get a job. But could he actually mentally have a job? Not a chance in hell. That's enough of this video. Again, I'll have a link down below so you guys can watch the whole thing yourselves. Communication and emulation. Emulation is like the seal clap you started doing after PPP. Let's check it out.
For people who can do it, making your job something you are passionate about is the ideal way to go. For me, I work a job I'm not very passionate about in order to make money. It's a job I'm good at. It's a job I'm paid reasonably well for. But my passion is probably just making videos at night and on the weekends. That's the thing I like to do the most. But I think people should strive to do something they're passionate about as a career if they can. I think that's been Phil's dream. So I think he sort of tells himself, yes, this is my passion. But in terms of how he speaks about it and his verbal cues and his nonverbal cues, which like communication communication indicators and verbal nonverbals and all of that is something I'm passionate about because I studied communication for years in college. I see no passion in this man at all, but I think he wants.
Maybe at the beginning, yes, very passionate to stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning, drinking, making egg sandwiches, and playing video games. And then stumbling into work, hungover, or still drunk, and then bitching the whole day that I could be at home playing video games. My bag, daddy. Give me a promotion, daddy.
To appear as though he is passionate, because I think his image is very important to him.
Thing that you mentioned there about, you know, that kind of body language and nonverbal communication and how that comes across. Generally, autistic people don't really communicate nonverbally. It's actually part of the diagnostic criteria, you know, that you don't have much facial expressions, or your facial expressions don't necessarily kind of match what you are saying. You know, they're kind of incongruent of each other.
I'm actually happier now than when I was 20. So why would I want to go back to that? But that's what, like, I feel my life has.
Guys, when I was 20, it was hard for me to buy booze. I'm going to turn 21, guys. I was able to buy booze as much as I wanted. So I loved being 21. But 20? Who'd want to be 20 again, guys? Remember, former alcoholic.
It's always been a build, an uphill build to something good. While these guys over here, they're already up there, but, you know, what do they really have in their lives? Maybe they are happy, and that's fine. You know, PewDiePie, by all reports, PewDiePie has a great personal life, right? He's happily married. He's healthy. He's got a ton of money. Good for him. Good.
Oh, man, that voice crack giving him away.
I'm happy for him, quite frankly. You know, let those people be successful. I'm the older I get, the more I'm learning. It's about me in the here and now and us and what we do. It's not about what everyone else out there does. You know what I'm saying? It's not at all. It's all about being enjoyable with what you do on a daily basis and being happy with your own life and what you've got, being grateful for what you've got, and aspiring to do better, of course, and aspiring for growth and aspiring for something. Everyone always wants something better for themselves or their family or their business, right? But at the same time, understanding that that's not the end-all, be-all of happiness of life, right? Like the question here from Big Papa Phil was, you know, what is the thing that you feel like you're the most proud of over the years? And the answer is that I'm still here doing what I love.
Making money.
And I'm not upset about anything bad that's happened in my past, because I very well could be. I could sit here every day and have sour grapes about the things that have happened. Oh, my channel used to be so much bigger. Oh, I used to be so much more popular, and I used to do this and I used to be able to go to conventions constantly because I made so much money on YouTube ad revenue. I could take entire weeks off of content creation to go to a convention and shit like.
And then the money disappeared, and he did nothing to change to get it back.
Like that. And I haven't done, you know what I mean? You know, I'm in a situation where that's just not viable shit anymore, you know? And it's just my reality. And that's, I'm okay with that. I actually love my life. Maybe that is the greatest accomplishment of my entire career online, is that I love my life. You know? Maybe that's actually should have been just the short answer in a nutshell. No regrets. There you go. All right.
No
Anything else before we get started with Elden Ring?
You don't necessarily use gestures. You know, that's kind of that non-verbal side of communication is either absent or it's just not right. You know, sometimes people are trying very hard to kind of put in some non-verbal communication because they know you're supposed to be doing those things, but that tends to come a little bit sort of unnatural. And again, you know, that can be interpreted like, oh, that person is a bit shifty, and, you know, or are they lying because what they are saying and their kind of facial expression or body language are mismatched. And, you know, that's obviously one explanation, one possibility, but often what is happening is just autistic people are really bad at non-verbal communication. You know, it's one of the key diagnostic criteria.
Or when they do nonverbal communication, or they try those nonverbals, they are masking. They're kind of saying, well, this is how a person would act in this situation. This is the face they would make.
Like when he starts doing the crocodile tears.
That's why you have things like mood charts and diagrams to assist autistic people in sort of understanding what their feelings are, or having other people understand them, because
DSP is a 5 all day, every day.
I think Phil is all over the map non-verbally. I don't think anything he does non-verbally makes sense outside of figuring out if he's stimming or he has specific tics. Because he definitely has specific tics for specific things, but I wouldn't call it direct one-to-one nonverbal communication.
Welcome to the Pre-Stream Podcast. Good stuff. That was absolutely disgusting.
Yes, it was. All right, time to move on to video 4. What is meaningful?
I do that for a living. I just don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy clowning on people, at all. I just don't. I don't, some people, it's like their forte. I can't take it. It actually hurts me. Like, I want to enjoy games. I want to have fun. I want to chill and relax. I want to have meaningful conversation, right? That's the stuff that I love doing. That's the stuff I aspire to do from now till the day I die.
I can perfectly see, working from home, talking about something that I'm interested in, as long as I have, enough kind of money, to get what I need. What is the problem with that? The fulfillment is coming. There is some sort of social interaction to get my social battery refilled. Maybe not in the most usual way, but it's happening. All the
And he still has his wife to talk to, guys, and the cashier on his day off.
basic needs are met. The special interests, are being provided for. So, I think all the things that are important for an autistic person, all the boxes are ticked. So, what is it exactly that we are saying Phil is missing?
I think that's a very interesting point, that we have been projecting these very neurotypical ideals onto Phil, but like we said early in the conversation, he's not neurotypical, and things begin to make a lot more sense when you accept that he's not. So maybe what looks miserable to us is comfortable for him.
Bliss, heaven.
Go ahead.
It's bliss, it's heaven. He wants to be there. He's in his happy place.
Well, and one thing I want to ask about, because I know Who's Poppin', we talked about this in the last few days in DMs, and I sent you the link to Kat's restraining order incident report. I believe I wasn't completely sold until I saw the restraining order, but I believe Kat is also on the spectrum, and I think that they're both comfortable, to be honest. I think, could they be living a better life? Of course. According
Look at that. Went from a Michigan 7 to a Michigan 4. Womp womp.
to us, of course they could. But I think both of them are exactly where they want to be at this point.
And that's what I've been saying since I started these videos, and I sort of took off the neurotypical lens. I put on the autistic lens. Everything about Phil makes sense. You look at him through an autistic lens, it makes sense. You look at him through a neurotypical lens, nothing makes sense. You just start getting angry.
I mean,
I think what comes into it, it's a lot about predictability and routine.
Yes.
I think a lot of neurotypical people find it very boring, and at some point it feels like something is missing and they are unfulfilled because every single day is the same, and you kind of just go through exactly the same routines. This is what tends to make autistic people comfortable and also happy. We go back to that subject of repetition. Repetition is not a bad thing. Repetition is highly desirable. It doesn't get boring. So again, it's that different wiring of the brain. We require different things to be happy.
Right.
What's repetitive about Phil? Let's go through it as detractors. Just me and you, Logan.
Okay, sure.
What's repetitive about Phil? What does he repeat on a daily basis?
Oh, the easiest and
The schedule over and over and over.
most consistent one is the idea that he talks about whatever he talks about on his pre-stream podcast, and then the daily wrap the next day he'll talk about his day, and then
Yeah.
And then the next day, he'll do it all again on the podcast. He'll tell you
Yeah.
what he just told you on the Daily Wrap last night. So
Also revisiting the schedule every day.
every day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What about
revisiting the schedule and just sort of I even think, and this is a weird theory that I've gone back and forth with certain tech detractors like me in DMs. I think he kind of likes when his cameras are failing now. I think that's a thing that he kind of likes because he can go, oh, the camera's busted. I have to unplug and replug it again. It's part of his routine now.
Yeah. Now, what about this? Think about the actual act of streaming being a routine. He has his day off on Saturday, and he's streaming twice a day, 6 days a week. The act of streaming is the routine.
Yes.
If you think about it, if I was Phil with my brain, and I got even so much as 1% of the trolling that he gets, I would just leave the internet. So the sheer act of continuing to do this,
and yet his trolls are nothing compared to Wing's trolls,
routine, despite everything that's leveled against him, is part of the routine. And I also think somewhere along the line, responding to the detractors has become a routine.
Absolutely. He feels uncomfortable, noticeably uncomfortable, when there's not a lot of detractor drama to talk about, and you can tell.
That to me, that's wild. That's
right.
Wild. It's mind-blowing, but it just makes sense.
And begging is an important part of the routine because
Correct.
I was talking to the other day earlier this week when he didn't beg as part of his quote unquote experiment. Phil is going to talk about the 3 paths for a while. If you already know what,
we'll stop this video there. Again, link down below if you want to check them out yourself. And finally, on video number 5, refusing to relate. I don't think it's that he's refusing to relate. It's that he literally cannot. His brain cannot relate. If you ask him how would he feel if he didn't eat breakfast this morning, but I did eat breakfast. It was a very healthy breakfast burrito, guys, and only 3 cups of gin, guys. I only had 3 cups. Normally I'd have 5, but I want to be healthy this morning, so I only had 3 cups of gin, guys.
Did you want to talk about oppositional defiance disorder in ASD?
Yes, specifically because I believe Phil also exhibits oppositional defiance disorder constantly for his entire life. So absolutely. Oppositional defiant disorder, or ODD, is a behavioral disorder characterized by a persistent pattern of uncooperative, defiant, and hostile behaviors toward authority figures. These behaviors...
Any wonder he's been fired from every single job he's ever had?
Often manifested as arguing, refusing to comply, and deliberate attempts to annoy others, can significantly impact a child's daily functioning. ODD is typically diagnosed in childhood and can persist into adolescence and adulthood. If you want an example of ODD, think King Cobra JFS.
Stupid fucking liar. Fuck you! Stupid fucking liar. Hey liar. Fuck you. Oh, you don't like being beat up? You don't like it? You don't like it? You don't fucking like it? Then maybe...
Yeah, drugs. Don't do them, guys.
We shouldn't fucking go against the grain.
Back to the conversation.
So how does that relate? How does oppositional defiance disorder relate to autism, Anna?
So there are kind of 2 ways to look at it. Like, first of all the sort of neurodevelopmental condition, it's quite rare for them to exist in isolation. You know, when you kind of take a neurodivergent person, it's statistically much more likely that they will have autism and ADHD, autism and dyspraxia, you know, ADHD and oppositional defiance disorder. So we have this long list of different neurodevelopmental conditions, and they often coexist. So, you know, that's one thing. You know, statistically, it will be likely, you know, to have people who have both autism and oppositional defiance disorder.
Okay.
The other kind of way of looking at it, there is a specific, let's say, subtype of autism when people have particular challenges around external demands. It's called pathological demand avoidance.
Okay.
You know, it's maybe not a nice way to describe it, calling it pathological, but you know, that's strictly speaking the name. And you know, basically people who have this difficulty with demands, this pathological demand avoidance, they will go to extreme lengths to avoid the demand. And that can lead to a lot of challenging behaviors. And that's where there will be an overlap between what you see in oppositional defiance disorder versus what you see in the pathological demand avoidance. So you would really need to drill into, you know, what is the purpose of the challenging behavior that you're observing? You know, is it, you know, because the person is not comfortable with authority and they want to kind of, you know, exert their power and sort of, you know, be defiant? Or is
Right.
it more that they are really uncomfortable with the demand that is being put on them and they will go to any length to avoid that demand? The demand often comes from people who are in positions of authority in one shape or form, because, you know, those are the people who can make demands. So it can be a little bit, you know, kind of challenging to really drill into it and make a decision, you know, which one is it?
Can it be a comfort issue? Because that's what I see a lot in Phil. Even the most innocuous demands that his audience may make of him, or just
Like, stop snorting into the microphone.
other people around him, he'll just say, "No, we're not. I'm not doing that," despite it being a very simple demand and would benefit him. Would you say that it does come back to comfort?
It doesn't matter if it benefits you.
Okay.
The problem is it's an external demand. Probably my husband would laugh at that because I have a bit of an issue of it. And, you know, the automatic response to any question and anything he asks me to do is no. And it's almost, I don't even process it. You know, I
Okay.
sort of hear it coming and it's coming at me as an external demand. I don't in that moment evaluate, you know, is that a reasonable request? Is it going to be of mutual benefit? Is it even just going to be for my benefit? Oh no, an external demand has just landed. So I need
Okay.
to kind of, you know, avoid it, and I'm going to say no. So now he sort of, you know, often waits a little bit, and, you know, after that automatic no, my higher brain function will hopefully kick in and I will, you know, process it all a little bit more and be like, okay, you know, actually what is being proposed here is very reasonable.
That's
You know, I shall
very
go
interesting.
ahead with it.
That's
But yeah, it's that very primitive brain and that sense of danger
Okay.
that demand has hit. Gotta defend.
Unfortunately for DSP, there is no higher function. As they just explained, no, my initial response is no. Then once my higher functioning part of my brain processes and go, okay, I shall do that. For Phil, there's no higher processing. It's just no, and then he continues. Whether it be the gin, the sugar sauce he used to make, being a hermit, he just does not have the higher functioning part of his brain. So he cannot process after saying no and going, all right, guys, I guess that's reasonable. I'll stop snorting into the microphone. Nope. Just, no, fuck you, and continue. Again, like, this video is 42 minutes long. So if you guys want 5 videos to watch back to back and others, these are all great. I'll have the link down to taking those below. And as always, like, subscribe, comment down below, and have one hell of a day. Wish this video is gonna be fucking long as hell. Yeah, editing and processing might take a couple hours. Now I'll probably just upload raw. Womp womp.